Hey, I'm the Mythology Guy, and I think this is going to be the first anime I've ever discussed on this channel. So, got the anime shirt out. Yep. Alright, well, today we're going to be talking about Record of Ragnarok. Now, as I'm sure you all know, I'm a pretty huge mythology fan, and as some of you probably know, I'm a bit of an anime fan too, but a bit. Like, I'm not like a huge weeb or anything. I like to call myself like a part-time anime fan. Like, I'm a huge lover of like Death Note, Attack on Titan, Dragon Ball, Food Wars, Shield Hero, Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I've read the entire Dragon Ball manga and everything. But here's one opinion I have about anime. I personally think that while anime is a lot of fun, I always like the manga better. And one main reason for that is because when you read a manga, you can kind of go at your own pace. When you're watching an anime, you can't. And things tend to stretch out in animes, especially when it comes to fight scenes. That's why while I absolutely love the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z manga, I had my issues with the anime itself. I don't even think I finished it. I was like, I've read the manga, I don't need to finish this, like, series. But yeah, but that's a different thing. Let's talk about this thing. Now, right up front, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to keep the first part of this spoiler-free, so you don't have to worry about spoilers, but then I will go into spoilers later. I'll give you a spoiler alert first, so don't worry. Now, I have not read the manga for Record of Ragnarok. I was planning to. I was planning to maybe pick it up and, like, read it all before this came out so that I could give more of an in-depth, like, thoughts on the whole thing. But, you know, I've had a lot going on lately, so I unfortunately wasn't able to. But it's also kind of cool because I'm pretty sure a lot of the people who are going to talk about this anime were fans of the manga. So I'm going to give you, like, the thoughts of someone who is experiencing this story entirely for the first time. And I think that's kind of unique. And honestly, after seeing this, I am kind of interested in picking up the manga, so might happen before season 2. Now, overall thoughts on the Record of Ragnarok anime. This may upset some people. I'm not sure. But my God, I could not stand this show. At first. For the first few episodes. Then it got better. Gotcha. No, yeah, let me explain why. Now, the overall premise is amazing. I love the premise. The premise is basically the gods want to wipe out humanity because they're sick of humanity, but they end up deciding, like, hey, before we wipe out humanity, we'll give them a chance, you know, we'll do this tournament. It's a tournament where 13 gods fight 13 humans to the death. First to 7 wins is the winner, and if the humans win, they get to live on for another 1,000 years, and then I guess this will happen again after 1,000 years. Very similar to Mortal Kombat when you think about it. By the way, that Apollo's still mad. He's still trying to get in here. I don't know what's going on with him. I put a cover over the window. You can kind of see if it's still shining through. Apollo's really, like, going nuts out there. But regardless, yeah, so awesome freaking premise. And the thing is, like, you're probably thinking, what humans can go up against gods? Well, apparently, the human side is allowed to have any humans that have ever existed throughout history. So, like, basically the greatest warriors in human history are going to go up against the gods. That's a pretty freaking amazing premise. So, like, in episode 1, when they stated what the premise was, I was like, all right, yeah, I'm in. That sounds great. And, also, the designs of the gods are a ton of fun. Like, I really should have, like, taped my reaction to some of them. And I watched this with Wilda, and I really should have taped her reaction, because, my God, the way she reacted to some of these gods' designs. Like, the design of, like, I won't ruin them, but the design of Aphrodite is, like, I couldn't help but laugh. The design of Zeus, didn't see that coming. He was the only one I didn't figure out. Like, every time a god, you would see one, I'd be able to go, oh, I know who that is. Okay, I know who that is. And I would say it, and I would always be right. When Zeus was shown, I was like, this guy? And then when they revealed it was Zeus, I was like, that is Didn't expect that. So I won't ruin it for you. Just check it out. Maybe tape your reaction. I think you could make a funny video that way. Also, the designs of characters like Thor and Poseidon, like, wouldn't have expected them to look like that. But yeah, by the way, this is every god from every pantheon, like not just Greek or Norse or anything like that. It's every pantheon. We've got Greek, Norse, Egyptian, Hindu, Japanese, Chinese, like they're all over the freaking place. And it's a lot of fun when they're like panning over all of the gods, like to see, okay, like let's see if I can figure out which gods these are. So it's interesting because it seems that Zeus has the highest rank out of all of them, but their main base is like in Valhalla. They're really mixing everything together. But yeah, like I said, awesome premise, fun designs, like, you know, even though they're different, they're still fun. It's fun to see them. So I was like, we're in for something great. I love this premise. Tournament show. The designs of the gods are a lot of fun. They either make me laugh or make me go, huh, all right, well, let's see more of that. And so I was thinking, okay, let's see, we've got 12 episodes, we've got like 13 gods and humans, first to 7 wins. There's got to be at least like one fight per episode, like, because how are you going to fit that into 12? I thought like it was going to be that fast paced because I'm an idiot. I didn't realize, oh wait, there's going to be multiple seasons, so obviously they're going to split this into segments. But then, yeah, I did think of that later. I was thinking, oh, okay, so are we going to have, what, like 6 fights a season, 7 fights a season? Oh, no. This is where we get to it being a very anime. Over the course of 12 episodes, we have 3 fights. That means, like, since the episodes are about 24 minutes each, like, each fight arc is going to take you about, what's 4 times 24? 80 plus 16, 96. Each fight is going to average out to an hour and a half of screen time. And you're like, oh, an hour and a half of straight up fighting? Hell yeah. No. Let me explain. So, like, I'm not going to spoil things. I'm not going to ruin who's fighting who. I'm not going to ruin who wins the fights until we get to spoilers. But, yeah, the first fight, when it was getting started, it was revealed who the fighters were. I was like, okay, cool. Well, let's go. Like, let's see how this plays out. But, oh my god, the way they drag things out, the way they, like, for Pete's sake, first of all, it takes forever for the fight to get started because everyone has to talk about everything. We have to go see everyone's reaction to everything. And when the fight actually does start, we're still constantly stopping so everyone can comment on everything. I swear to God. Like, okay, so like the god character like runs at the human character, and then the announcer of the fight. There's an announcer and a narrator. You do not need both of those. You do not need both of those. The announcer yells out, "Oh my God, he is running at him," and then the narrator goes, "Yes, he is running at him." Then we cut over to the Valkyrie character who goes, "It seems like he is running at him," and then we cut over to Zeus who goes, "My goodness, it would seem that he is running at him." And then the audience, "Is he running at him? He's running at him. Oh my God, he's running at him. And yes, he's running at him." And I'm just sitting here like, we get it!
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it!
We don't care! We want to see them fight! We don't care what all of you think! Can you get to the damn thing we came here for, please? And so he runs at him, and he swings his weapon, and then, oh my gosh, he's swinging his weapon! The narrator goes, "Yes, he's swinging his weapon," and you get where I'm going with this. It just, that kind of crap. And then we see, okay, cool, a few swings, here we go. Boom, my gosh, this is, and the announcer goes, "This is incredible." And I'm like, you know, it would be incredible if you would stop interrupting it. I mean, freaking, and no, it gets worse. Hold on, because like after those first few blows, and suddenly they're like, that character is very interesting. And then we cut to many years ago. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Many years ago, we're going to go into that character's backstory. No! What are you... You either do that before the fight or or at least do it more fast paced, because this backstory scene that came that frick out of nowhere in the middle of the fight like goes on for several minutes. And by the way, the first one of these backstory things is not well animated at all. It's just like still images. It's told like a storybook thing, which I think is the idea, but it's not fun to watch. It's like we're seeing like back in the old days. Hey Steve, what's going on? You know, it's just like, it's these still boring to watch images. And honestly, but here's the thing, part of the backstory includes like an action scene, but since it's told with these just completely still shots and stuff, it's not fun to watch. Like, it's like, if you had made this action scene like really well animated, then I would have been like, okay, well, it's a little annoying that you cut this in the middle of the tournament fight, but at least this is another fight that's a ton of fun to watch. But it's not fun to watch. It wasn't fun for me to watch. And it goes on and on and on. And then finally, when it's over, it cuts back to the character. And you think, okay, are we done? Can we get to the freaking fight now? And, like, you know, then, like, the episode ends because we used up all our time on everyone announcing everything and going into a character's backstory. It's like, fine, okay, next episode. Everyone's still announcing things, and then we get another swing, and then we have to go into the other fighter's backstory.
Shut up, shut up, shut up! Jesus Christ, man, what the hell is wrong with you? Please, just shut up!
I've had enough at this point, and this is the point where I've had more than enough, but we're not done. We keep going, we keep freaking going with all of this ridiculousness and characters reacting to stuff in such and like, you know, one point where, like, this huge attack, like, this character starts to charge up the attack, and, you know, and then, like, the other characters are like, oh my gosh, he's gonna use his attack, and it's like, I know he's gonna use his attack, you don't have to tell me that. And, like, this Valkyrie and her friend is like, what were we thinking? This is never gonna work. It's like, we don't need scenes like that. You know, maybe those were in the manga, but you don't need them. You could have cut them out. This is an adaptation. You do not have to beat by beat, word for word, frame by frame adapt everything. This is a TV show, and you need to adapt it so that it works better as a TV show. In a manga, like I said, you can go at your own pace, so it's okay if you want to insert all that stuff in there. Like, it can still be an issue, but it's not as big of an issue because you can just power through that by how quick you read and just look at the images. In an anime, you can't speed it up. Like, to my knowledge, Netflix, I wanted to put this on 1.25 speed, but I don't know if Netflix has an option for that. I know HBO does, but like, when I was watching with Wilden, she said, do you want to turn the speed up? And I was like, yes. And I was like, I don't see an option to turn the speed up. And I was like, and she was like, are you sad? And I was like, I feel trapped. Like, I feel trapped in all this freaking exposition that I can't skip. Like, it was so infuriating and so upsetting. And, like, it doesn't help that this first fight has, like, now, the first fight is between two very strong, powerful characters, and that could make for a really epic fight, but what makes it a weakness is that these characters are not attacking super fast. They're using slow, heavy, hard strikes, and there's nothing wrong with that if you focus on that, but they keep cutting away from it mid-attack sometimes. Like, while a character is lunging his weapon, suddenly, oh wait, let's talk about something else. No! Stop it! Like, so it's infuriating to watch. I didn't have fun watching that fight. I did not. There's a part where a character stares at his weapon, like, and is like, what's going on here? And the other character stares at the weapon too. It's like, why don't you just stab him while he's staring at? And this was so infuriating. While the characters were staring at at this weapon on the floor, the announcer yells out, "This is astounding!" And I just yelled out, "No, it isn't!" Like, it was so. Like, at that point, I was just starting to just yell out at the screen, just get on with it!
Get on with it!
Like, for Pete's sake, like, and then the narrator keeps coming in and talking, and I'm just going, shut up! Shut up! So, like I said, this is a huge problem for the first few episodes. And there's still some of that in the later episodes, but honestly, at that point, I didn't want to watch the show anymore. I honestly, I looked at Will and I said, I don't want to watch this anymore. And she was like, well, do you want to stop? And I was like, no, I gotta finish it. And because you guys have been asking me to talk about this show, and I really wanted to do this for you. But here's the thing, I'm glad I kept watching, because I liked the second fight a lot, actually. Part of that is helped by the second fight is faster pace, and I'm pretty sure they spent a lot less time on the expositioning. There were a couple cutaways, but it felt like there were way less. I'm pretty sure there were way less. Like with the previous fight, if you compiled every single moment of footage where they're actually fighting, like not where they're just standing there staring at each other or any of the cutaways at all, I would be shocked, honestly shocked and appalled if it was more than 2 minutes of footage across 4 episodes, across an hour and 36 minutes. I will honestly be shocked and appalled if there is more than 2 minutes of actual action. Like, I hope somebody does it, because I really want to see how much actual freaking action was in those scenes. And no repeat stuff, by the way. One thing this show does that I hate when shows do is, it'll end, on a scene, and then when the next episode starts, it will, like, rewind a little and show you some of the scene from the last episode. It's like, I just saw that. You released the whole season at once, Netflix. Like, we're gonna binge it. You do not need to show us the last 30 seconds or 2 minutes of the previous episode in the next episode. That's stupid. Okay? I hate it when shows do that. Stop doing that. And another cliche I totally hate is the 3 weeks earlier cliche, like where an episode or a movie will start and then it'll cut to 3 weeks earlier. And this feels like 3 weeks earlier, the TV show, because that happens 50 times in the first fight scene. But the second fight scene is better. I actually had fun watching the second fight scene. I got invested in it, actually. I got really invested in the human character, and I didn't want him to lose. I wanted him to win. Like, that was where I stopped. Like, maybe it was because I was invested in the character and the action was cooler, but when there were cutaways, they didn't feel as obtrusive. They didn't feel as draggy or stuff like that. So, yeah, I like the second fight a lot better. However, there is one, and the third fight I liked as well, but not as much as the second fight. Now, there is something else I should talk about this show. I don't know if this show had a low budget or if they just didn't realize this was an issue, but this show has some cheap moments to it. Like, one being the overuse of still images. This show, it happens sometimes in the fight scenes, and it didn't bother me too much because I've seen worse. like a lot worse, and like I said, I haven't seen as much anime as the rest of you guys. I haven't seen One Punch Man yet. I hear that's the huge, like, awesome action anime, but I haven't seen it, so I don't have, like, I can't compare that to this. But I thought the action was good. I didn't think it was phenomenal or anything. Like, I've seen way better, like Dragon Ball Z, Super Broly, and stuff like that, but those are movies, so I don't know if it's fair to compare to a TV show. But I do think they use still images a little too much. Like I said, using the still images in the freaking flashback was ridiculous. And also, when they show the audience, a lot of the time it's still images. And not only is it still images, but they repeat the still images with the audience a lot. They show the same still image of segments of the audience several times. Like, there's I think 2 or 3 images of the audience for the gods, and they keep using those. And there's a different audience for the humans for each fight, but there's also one basic still image of the humans that they reuse several times. That felt a little cheap to me. It took me out of it a little bit. I was just thinking, did Netflix not give you guys enough of a budget to animate more of this, or to at least draw more pictures? Like, I don't know. But that wasn't a huge deal. But it was something I noticed that was annoying. It wasn't nearly as annoying as all the constant cutting away. That is my main gripe with the show. I thought the beginning was handled horribly. I really thought it was handled horribly, and this is a huge problem to not get the beginning right. Because, like I said, I didn't want to watch the show anymore after 3 episodes, and I ended up being glad I watched beyond that, but I think that's going to hurt the show pretty bad. Like, imagine newcomers. Do you think, if they feel the same way I feel, do you think they're going to stick around? I don't think they will. But maybe you guys loved it. Let me know what you thought of it. I do really want to know. And if you've read the manga especially, I really want to hear what you think. If that was a good way to adapt it or a bad way to adapt it. But yeah, really liked the second human character. Actually enjoyed his backstory flashback. It was kind of interestingly done. It did go on a little too long. I felt like they could have shortened it. And the third human character's backstory, and the god's backstory, while they weren't what was nice about the third human character in the god's backstory segments, and kind of the second human character's backstory segments, is instead of constantly cutting away, it was all kind of handled at once. All in one thing. Which meant it went on for really long, but it happened, before the fight started. Or it was either before the fight started or really early on in the fight. And so it was okay, so we're not going to keep cutting away from the fight, we're just getting it out of the way and going. It felt like somebody went into the writer's room after the first arc was written and went, you guys, stop peppering it all in there, get it out of the way. The third human character's backstory and third god's backstories could have been cut down, though. They didn't need to be so freaking long. I can think of ways you could have easily cut those backstories in half, honestly. Went on too long, but wasn't as bad as the first ones. Also, at least they were animated, way better than the freaking first god's backstory with its constant still images. That was infuriating. But yeah, there was a character death, because of course every single fight is a fight to the death. One of the character deaths, actually, I was really bummed about. And one of the other characters I was really hoping wouldn't die, and fortunately didn't. I'm not going to say who. All right, what else can I say about this show without spoiling it? There's something cool they do with the weapons on this show, which I actually did like. Unfortunately, when they first reveal it, it's another freaking cutaway during the first battle, and they spend way too much time on it. And again, I was yelling, shut up. And yeah, after all of that stuff, when a character is getting ready to use an attack in the first battle, they said, it's like he's winding up for the attack. I'm like, all right, here we go. And then they cut away to tell you the origins of that attack, and I was just like,
oh my god, who the hell cares?
Just show us the damn attack. You don't have to tell us the origins of an attack. Actions speak a lot louder than words. Show, don't tell. Also, there was something, this was, I think, in the third battle, where, a character does something that they've set up earlier that character can do. And yeah, I looked over at Wilda and went, yes, that they set that up earlier. And she went, oh yeah, that's cool. But you know what happens immediately after that? They have another character explain to us for the second time why that character can do that. They're treating their audience like they're stupid. They're like, hey, we know you guys are idiots and don't remember that we set this up, so let's tell you about it again. And I was just like, you didn't need that. Come on, we're not dumb. They do treat you kind of like you're stupid. They feel like they have to explain every single little thing to you. But at the end of the day, I was so thankful that I was able to overall actually have a good time with this show. Because after the first few episodes, like I said, I thought, oh my god, I don't like this show. And I think I'm going to piss a lot of people off in my discussion video. I was kind of dreading making this video. But then after the next 2 fights, I was like, okay, well, we picked up. Good, we picked up. I felt like the action could have been better animated overall, but, it was still fun enough for me, anyway. I mean, like I said, though, I haven't read the manga, so maybe some of you guys are, feel differently. And I haven't seen a lot of super fight-heavy anime, so maybe you guys, I don't know. Tell me, is this up to standard, or is this, way low? Because it is kind of a red flag to me how many still images they use. So I want to know from you diehard anime fans or diehard fans of the manga, if you thought this was well done or really badly done. But overall, I had a good time with it. They teased what fight number 4 is going to be, and I was like, oh, okay, well, let's see how that goes. And yeah, when it ended, Wilda wanted to see more, so that's a good sign right there. She was like, oh man, when's season 2 coming out? After we had been tearing this show to shreds in the first few episodes, at the end we were like, oh, I want to see that next fight. So I think that's one way I can compliment this show. At the end, we did want more, so cool. I might read the manga to get more, because I'm sure that's the definitive way to experience this. I always think mangas are better than anime. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a great example of that. But yeah, so overall, crappy start, decent finish. Had fun with it. The most fun I had was in how invested I got in the last 2 human characters, and in the times we got to laugh and have fun with some of the character designs. Like, some of them were funny. And some of you are probably thinking, hey, isn't it a horrible thing that the character designs, some of them don't look how the gods should actually look? It's like, guys, there's also nothing in mythology where gods have a tournament battle against humans, okay? This is a mythology-inspired original storyline, and what's important is when you do stuff like that, you don't have to be entirely accurate, so long as you make it fun and interesting. And I think they made the character designs fun and interesting. There are some things, I think, some parts where I didn't feel like they went all the way with who some of these characters are. Like, there are gods in this show who don't use what you'd think their godly powers would be during the fights, and I'll get more into that in spoilers, so I thought that was a little weird. But yeah, I'll get into that in spoilers. So overall, I had a good enough time with this show once we got past the horrifically boring and infuriating parts. That's my overall thoughts on it, and please let me know what your thoughts are, and I'm going to get into spoilers now. Okay, you ready? Spoiler alert. And here we go. All right. So, the first fight is Thor versus Lubu. And to be honest, I didn't really know much about Lubu before, this show started, so, I was like, but when he rode in, I could tell he was Chinese. Obviously, they had the guys playing the gongs and everything. I was like, okay, Chinese. And he came in full funeral garb, which I thought was really cool. I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like he's coming back from the dead. Yeah. Thor's design is hilarious, honestly. He looks like such a, in his 20s, pretty boy. And the hammer, with how freaking huge it is, that's a cool idea. I like that. I like this guy, lifting up this gigantic freaking hammer that's bigger than he is. That's a cool idea. I like that. I like that Thor uses his thunder during the battle. But when Zeus was in his battle, he didn't use any lightning at all. I found that a little weird. And Poseidon never really used water at all. I thought that was weird too. So that's what I'm talking about when I said, for some reason, the gods weren't using the powers you'd think they'd be using. When Zeus is in his battle, he says, all right, I'm going to have to use something I wasn't planning on using. I thought, he's going to call down the lightning. But no, he takes this. Zeus has multiple forms because this is an anime. We have to have someone who takes multiple forms. And at first, he's this frail, skinny, old man. Think Master Roshi from Dragon Ball, but taller and even more withered. They make Zeus the old pervert character, which is perfect. I like that. I love that, because anyone who knows Greek mythology knows that Zeus is an old pervert, and anyone who reads anime knows that there's often an old pervert, so these went hand in hand. That was the perfect character to make the old pervert. So he comes in all frail and stuff, and I remember looking over at Wilda and being like, you know what they're probably going to do? They're probably going to do what Master Roshi does, where he comes in all frail, but then he has that bulk up thing, and they did exactly that. And I was like, yeah, there it is. But while he's fighting Adam, Adam is the human character he fights, who I got really invested in. And I remember Wilda and I were wondering, what are they going to make Adam able to do? What, is he going to be able to call on animals or something? No, they do a creative thing with Adam. Because Adam was made in God's image, it means he can imitate anything a god does, because he's made in their image. So that was a cool idea. So Adam is, basically using copycat abilities against Zeus. And so, Zeus has his small frail form, his big muscular form, and then they literally call it his final form, where all the muscles go away and he's just like a tall, slender man Zeus. It reminds me like a little bit of like Majin Buu or Frieza, like how they each have how they start out with like small forms and then they have these big, like more muscular forms. And then they kind of shrink down in their final forms. Like, it's such an anime. So yeah, the fight that dragged really badly was Thor versus Lubu. Because like there's just like, and there's a scene where they're literally just staring at Thor's hammer, and Heimdall, who is the announcer, which I liked, by the way, because Heimdall, this is supposed to be like their version of Ragnarok, and in Norse mythology, Heimdall is supposed to be the one who announces Ragnarok. So literally they have him announcing Ragnarok in this show. That's a great idea, honestly. But Heimdall is like, well, they're just staring at the freaking hammer on the floor. He yells out, "This is," what did he yell? Like, whatever. He, like, something like, "This is incredible." And I was like, no, it's not. It's not incredible to stare at an inanimate object on the floor during what is supposed to be a fight scene. Heimdall's design is really weird, by the way. He's got, like, this robotic, like, just thing. I don't know what's going on with Heimdall's design. It is so weird. But yeah, and also apparently Thor's hammer is alive. It has a heartbeat, and then I was like, oh, okay, the hammer's alive, and then suddenly, like, it, like, cracks open, and you see, like, heart flesh on the inside. I was like, what the hell? That was really weird, man. Yeah, and what they do with the weapons that I was talking about earlier, since there's a Valkyrie helping the humans out, she had her sisters. Apparently in this show, Valkyries have the ability to, like, bond with humans and become weapons for the humans, which, okay, yeah, that's cool. And it's a good way to explain how these humans are able to even the odds up against the gods, because they're using these celestial weapons. So, because every god has celestial weapons, so it would be kind of unfair if the humans didn't. And that's what helps it come down more to who just has more skill, like, you know. But yeah, they, the way they handled Thor versus Lubu with cutting away to Thor's battle. What really makes me infuriated is Thor's backstory should have been incredible to watch. Well, it's the Jotnar, the giants, storming, I believe it was supposed to be Asgard, and battling against angels. Instead of Valkyries, they have angels guarding Asgard, I guess because all the mythologies are merged together. And so they have literal giants battling angels, and then Thor coming out and battling the giants. That should be incredible to watch. But no, this, out of all of the flashbacks, was the one with just still images and storybook style. It's like, oh, come on. It doesn't help that that's the first one. The first backstory shown is the worst animated one, so that's not going to give you hope for when the other ones happen. I don't know why that one of all the backstories was handled the worst, in my opinion. Maybe because they're like, oh, if we animate this well, it's going to cost more money, so, you know, By the way, the giants, when they were bursting in, climbing over a wall, bursting through a wall, and they were jumping at the angels and biting them, I was like, is this Attack on Titan? I feel like this is Attack on Titan. Anyone who's seen Attack on Titan knows what I'm talking about. Also, the design for Forseti is weird. For anyone who knows Forseti, he's the Norse god of justice, and, like, Forseti, from the images I've seen and the image I have for my card game, like, he's like this big rugged guy with a beard sitting on a throne with a golden axe. In this, he's like a little kid with glasses. It's so weird. That's Forseti. Would you take that guy seriously if he was at the end of a table on a throne and telling everyone to stop fighting? That's his myth, by the way. No, you wouldn't take that little kid seriously. You would take a guy with authority more seriously. But yeah, weird, bit of a weird design for Forseti, but whatever, you know, it's like I said, it doesn't really affect anything, so it's fine. But yeah, when we got to the Adam Zeus fight, I was enjoying it a lot more, like, because I liked Adam's character so much more. Like, when they show Adam's backstory, I was actually a lot more interested in it. One, because it was animated better, not these just constant still images. So it was kind of fun to watch, and also I wanted to see it because they established Adam hates the gods, and I wanted to know why. I was like, I wonder why that is. And when we saw it, I was like, okay, and when you see why it is, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, I can see. And then Adam explains why he's fighting, and it was actually a really touching, nice reason that made me totally get behind Adam. Like Zeus says, I hear you hate us, but I don't see any resentment in your eyes. Why are you fighting the gods? And then Adam, here's the thing, like Adam is the father of all of humanity because he was the first man. So then Adam says, does a man need a reason to defend his children? And I was like, oh, that's really nice, and that's actually a really great reason that I didn't even think of. So I was like, and that makes perfect sense. And yeah, of course, so then all of humanity, when they hear that, they're touched too. And like, they have the same reaction Wilda and I had, because Wilda loved that too. And like, yeah, Wilda and I, after that, we were like, we're totally behind this character. We want Adam to win. We want Adam to win this fight. He doesn't, and we were so bummed when especially because they make it look like he's gonna win, but then he dies, and we were sad. We were legit sad. So yeah, this was like the turning point of the show for us, because we loved the character, and we were legit emotionally invested in him, and then when he died, we were really bummed. Also, that fight was so much more fun to watch, because instead of, like, two characters staring at each other, and then one lifting something up, and then we have to go into backstory, and then one swinging a weapon, then we have to go into backstory, and we have to constantly... No, in this fight, Adam versus Zeus is... like, constant throwing punches, and every now and then they'll cut away, but it's... in between the cutaways, there's a ton of action happening instead of a fraction of a movement. Like, so it's handled so much better in that fight. What else was I gonna say? There was something else. Oh, right. There's a pretty funny scene. Like, Shiva was actually supposed to fight Adam, but then Zeus comes in, and Shiva's like, "It's my turn to fight, right?" And then Zeus comes in in his little old man form. He's like, "This second round is mine." Like, he says it like this: "This second round is mine." And he just keeps saying that. We were like, what the hell? They still haven't explained why he wanted that second round. Maybe he was just like, after seeing that first fight, he was like, that was boring, I'm gonna step it up. Or something. But yeah, it was really fun to watch. There was a weird scene, though, when Zeus comes in. He comes in with Hermes, and Hermes musically introduces him, and that's fine and all, but Hermes is CGI during that scene. Like, why? Again, that took me out of it, because it's such an obvious CGI effect in a completely hand-drawn animated background. Nothing else is CGI, just Hermes, and they're playing the violin. That's what you use CGI for? Really? Couldn't have mixed it in with the hand-drawn animation for like a fight scene or something? Like, that's really, really weird. But at least when we get to the fight, then that's really cool. Then there's the third fight, which is Poseidon versus, I believe it was Kurijo Sasaki. Name like that. It was a Japanese warrior. Poseidon, and nothing like the actual Poseidon. His design, he looks like a 20-year-old, short blonde hair, just his pecs showing. He's got his trident, though, so cool. And he's just a bitter asshole to, like, everybody. He just talks like, you're all filth. I don't like you. You're all filth. Like, and they, like, so yeah, he's just a dick. And they show, like, his backstory, where they make up, like, another Olympian god. It's like, you haven't heard the tale of this other Olympian god who Poseidon killed because he tried to take over Olympus. There actually used to be 13 Olympian gods. And it's like, honestly, I don't think Poseidon needed a backstory at all, because he just comes in and is a dick, and you kind of get what you need from that, because the backstory didn't add anything to that. It didn't add anything at all, honestly. Like, it's like, Poseidon comes in, he's a dick, people are scared of him because he's powerful. Oh, apparently he killed another god in the past, and in that backstory, he's just being a dick and apparently being powerful. It added nothing, honestly. It was really weird. I honestly think he could have just cut it out, or at least shortened it, because it went on way too long. It really did. They give you, like, the backstory of this made-up god, and how he was trying to rise to power, and why he was trying to rise to power, and him having a meeting with Poseidon, and a long discussion with Poseidon, and then after Poseidon kills him, like, Hermes talks about it, and it's like, we don't need all that. It's fine. You can get this whole thing done in, like, 3 minutes, honestly. Like, you can just say there was another god, and he tried to overthrow him at Olympus, but then you could just cut right to, like, him and Poseidon talking. It would be so much easier. And they also talk about how Poseidon had him stricken from the record because people are too scared of Poseidon to argue with him. Again, like, that went on too long. You could have shortened that a lot more easily. You could have just said, how come I've never heard of this guy? And it's like, because Poseidon didn't want you to, or something like that. Then we have the human character, this Japanese character, and his backstory is actually a little more fun and charming and interesting, but again, it went on a little too long. You could have cut it down and gotten the same point across a lot more easily. But I liked his character, and I wanted him to win. And he does. It's the first win for humanity, so I was like, okay, nice, yay. It's good to finally see them get a win. And then they tease the next fight, which is apparently going to be Jack the Ripper versus Hercules, because no one ever calls him Heracles. We always have to call him Hercules. Jack the Ripper versus Hercules. At first, when that was announced, I was like, how the hell is that going to work? But then I thought about it, I was like, okay, Hercules is the big powerhouse, Jack the Ripper is the sneaky, devious guy. So if Jack the Ripper is going to win this, he's going to do it by, like, tricking Hercules. He's going to be tricky, he's going to be devious, he's going to maybe use Hercules' raw power against him, like Hercules is going to come in charging and slashing, but Jack the Ripper is just going to fade into the shadows, and, like, because also they're fighting, like, in a duplicate of, like, London, like Jack the Ripper's home turf. So it's probably going to be like, I know this place like the back of my hand, and he's probably going to be able to handle. So I'm really interested to see that fight, actually. And Wilda was interested. We wanted to see it. We were like, they teased us. We want to see that fight now. So yeah, again, a good sign that the thing went out pretty well. But yeah, so I enjoyed 2 out of the 3 fights. I still feel like they could have been better. Animation could have been a lot more epic and cool, but I don't know what the budget was. I don't know what the restrictions were, but you should really give something like this a big budget, because this is a show all about tournament-style, godly action. That kind of story needs a big budget, and the action needs to be incredible. I didn't think the action was incredible. I just thought it was pretty fun. I had a fun enough time with it. When they would let us see it, like, that's a huge issue with the show, like I said, is that the action is not incredible, and on top of that, you won't even let us see it a lot of the time, at least in the first fight. So yeah, that was really infuriating, but liked it later on. So I'm probably sounding like a dead horse saying the same stuff over and over, but that's just how important it was and how many times. Like, I may sound like a dead horse saying that over and over, but the show kept doing that over and over. And yeah, like I said, Wilda was laughing her ass off at my reactions, by the way. Every time there would be another cutaway or another, like, narration or something, she would look over at me to see if I was rolling my eyes, or, like, I was doing this a lot. Like, and every time I did that, she would go, ha! She revels in when I'm, like, miserable, because, you know, that's our dynamic. But yeah, she was laughing her ass off at that. I kind of wish I had taped my reaction. I think it would have been a lot of fun for you guys to see. But that's what I thought of Record of Ragnarok overall. Overall, decent time with it. I will watch season 2, and I may very well pick up the manga. Tell me what you guys thought of it. I especially want to hear from, like, you diehard anime fans, or you especially fans of the manga. But of course I want to hear from everyone, but I'm really curious as to whether this is a good adaptation of the manga, or whether this is good when compared to other animes. Like, you've heard my thoughts, really want to hear your thoughts. I was really hoping we would see Hades on this show, but he's not on the lineup, and he hasn't appeared at all, so I don't really see any reason why we would see him, so... Oh, that's too bad. I also find it a little weird that Ra is not on the lineup of gods we're gonna fight, like, because Anubis is, and Ra is more powerful than Anubis, so weird that they didn't pick Ra to be one of the fighters, because you'd think they'd be picking all of their most powerful fighters. But, yeah, okay. Oh, it's also kind of weird that Hermes does the musical intro for Zeus. I think Apollo should have done that. I think that would have made a lot more sense. Yeah, alright, so... I guess that about wraps everything up. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.